this is going to be a very abbreviated full day of eating, just kind of what I'll eat in a day. Instead of meal by meal, we're going to do it all at once. So basically, meal one is going to be this smoothie, which is 450 grams of non-fat Greek yogurt. I get the one from Costco. There's 1 cup of orange juice. I prefer organic, but it wasn't available, so just one, not from concentrate. And then 100 grams of blueberries. So that's what this smoothie is. I'll have an apple with that. Any organic variety is fine. This happens to be Honeycrisp. I like the flavor of that. And then all 4 meals have 250 grams by weight raw of jasmine rice. I use the kind from Costco, but that doesn't matter. And I cook that in a 2-to-1 ratio of chicken stock to rice. And that's the organic chicken stock from Costco. And I use the peppers and carrots that I cut up and cook into the rice. So that's 100 grams of each. And then there's 1/8 of a teaspoon of iodized salt in each of these meals. And then I have 2 beef and 2 pork meals. So there's going to be 8 ounces raw weight of 90-10 beef here and here, and then 8 ounce raw weight of pork loin here and here. And that's pretty much it. So protein for all this is going to be like, each one of these portions of protein along with the smoothie is going to be about 50 grams. So, you're looking at like 250-ish grams, and then you're going to get like another 50 from the rice. I don't really count that though. So over 1 gram per pound of body weight for protein. And then it's like approximately, if you account for fiber, like net carbs are like around 900 right now. And typically my last meal would just be protein and some type of green vegetable to digest well, like green beans or something. I don't prefer carbs in my last meal, but when you get to this volume of food that's necessary for a bulking period, you kind of have to consolidate as much as you can. That's why it's like, 4 solid food meals, they're just really big. These are like 6-cup containers and they're pretty full, but when you have this much food, it's a lot easier for me anyway to have like fewer bigger meals than it is to have smaller, more frequent meals, if that makes sense. I'd rather logistically, for scheduling and everything, I'd much rather have 4 large meals with like a smoothie than 6 or 7 small meals, because logistically it just becomes, for me, harder to fit in. So anyway, but this is like a current full day of eating for what it's looking like during the bulking period, and how I'm working on moving this up or down or whatever based off of my goal is going to be dependent on how I digest this, which so far I digest it very well. Like no, reflux issues, no bathroom issues, nothing like that. So everything's moving really well, which is great. I'm feeling great while training, all that. I'm performing really well. I'm not gaining like any body fat or anything. So that tells me that I'm tolerating it very well. Now, how I'm going to know when to increase it, I'm going to listen to my body and my metabolism. So if, how I've been building up to this amount is I just kind of coast for a bit. And then if I feel that my performance is waning or decelerating in the gym, or if my digestion is, burning through this faster and faster, where, my appetite is increasing, then I know that I need to bump it up. I'm not going to bump it up a crazy amount at a time, just incrementally, maybe like, another 75 to 100 carbs on my training days, and then maybe like half that on my off days, and then just let that sit for a period of a few weeks, maybe a month max, to kind of acclimate, and then let my metabolism tell me that I'm even more hungry again. And that's how I've been titrating up over time. So it took a while to build up to this volume. And I experimented with different things like, dates and oatmeal and whatever. But I found that if you're trying to drive a lot of calories coming from carbs, it really is a lot easier if you use that from easily digested carbs like that of rice, as opposed to like higher fiber foods and things like that that are more satiating. Oh, one last point. If you're trying to drive a lot of carbs, just be aware that if, pardon me, if you're trying to get those from things other than rice, like say potatoes or dates that are really popular or something like that, just keep in mind that when you do something like that, the bottleneck for something like that is going to be ultimately potassium, which sounds strange, but if you can, like say, if, for example, if I didn't want to eat this much rice just because of scheduling or whatever time, and I wanted to make it easier by just getting like, 6-7 dates to get the same amount of carbs, I could do that, but then I'd be having like another gram or two of potassium, and that would throw off my electrolyte balance, which sounds silly, but if you consider there's 4 electrolytes, and I'll make a video on hydration some other time, but let's just say there's 4 electrolytes, one of which is potassium. Imagine you have like a disproportionate amount of it, then they're out of balance, and then you're gonna go to the bathroom more frequently. For one, they'll throw everything off. Neurologically, you can feel off. It can disrupt strength. And on the extreme end, if you do that over time, your blood level of potassium will go so high that it can, in extreme cases, even cause like heart arrhythmias. I had a very mild version of this happen to me fairly recently, which is why I'm mentioning this. I don't want you to have to go through all that. But anyway, so if you're trying to drive a lot of carbs, just make sure that you're getting essentially the carbs and not an excess amount of potassium from those carbs. So something like rice is a really good option. If you tolerate it well, breads and things like that, but generally at this volume, not many people would. So if you can do it, rice is the move. And something that I found to make it even more easily digestible rather, is doing, again, that 2-to-1 ratio of chicken stock to rice. Will make it very, very soft and easy to eat, easy to digest fast. That way you're not like chewing all day, So anyway, hopefully this was helpful. And if you have any questions or anything, just let me know.